Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to Gettin' Savvy in Health, Wealth, and Beauty. Important to note that everything is for entertainment purposes only. Please do speak and meet with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. And also, please meet and speak with your GP before making any health or beauty decisions. All right, Melissa, we are back at it. 2026 first show. And yes, the Christmas tree is still here. Busy people at the condo. Anyway, and we're both going out. We both end up wearing the same thing.
Well,
Ish.
black dresses.
Black dresses.
It's like a winter. It's what you wear in January.
Is it?
Just gotta wear a black dress. I feel like,
I
yeah.
was trying to do winter white, but I couldn't find it. So,
Mhm.
I just got back from the Caribbean.
Nice.
Yeah. And you
Nice.
guys were down south.
And you weren't in the same parts where
We
they
were for New Year's.
and you didn't get a crazy rampant bacterial infection.
No, I didn't.
Actually,
Actually,
we'll
we're going to talk about that if anybody's watching
Mhm.
Bethany Frankel. Yeah. Well, we were only there for a night.
Okay.
So, yeah, but it's
Nice.
great. And where were you guys?
We were in Mexico
Okay.
and then went to Miami,
Okay.
but not directly. They actually don't have direct flights. We were in Puerto Vallarta or near Puerto Vallarta, and they don't have direct flights from Puerto Vallarta to Miami.
Okay.
Came back to Toronto,
Oh, my.
did some laundry, repacked, worked a little bit, and then went to Miami.
That's a lot.
It's good though.
Yeah.
It felt like 2 vacations.
Okay.
You know?
But do you feel like when I got
The
back?
price of 5 vacations.
Exactly. Exactly. But when I got back, I was so rested.
hmm
And then it was like unbelievably busy.
Back to the
Do you
grind.
feel like that?
I felt like I needed a vacation. I needed a reset. And then my favorite part about going on vacation is that I look forward to getting back to my routine.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I love going away, but then I love coming home
Yeah.
and then planning my next
Trip.
vacation.
You do that.
Well, they often say that, like, actually, my friend coined this, like, when you travel with kids, it's not really a vacation, it's just a relocation.
Right. Right.
So,
So where do you know where the next vacation is then? Where?
yeah, my first time ever, I'm going to Vail.
Right.
February.
Right. I'm going to meet you there.
I'm really excited, but I heard that Colorado's had horrible snow.
Yeah. But Aspen just got a dump 2 nights ago or so.
Oh, good.
But more snow in Aspen than Vail, but you're not going for a little bit.
Not till February.
Yeah. So you'll have time.
Mhm.
It'll be good.
I'm excited. Yeah, I always get a little nervous before my first time skiing. If it's been a year, like I'm like, and then I
Yeah.
get comfortable.
Yeah. There's so much terrain in Vail.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Okay. So much going on.
But I can't wear my pink. It's not the Aspen type.
It's
pink.
not
It's
pink.
more like laid back, right? Like I have to wear my more like conservative looking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you don't have to,
I know.
but
I mean,
it won't be as much fun
okay,
to wear your pink.
okay.
I don't think. Okay, so much going on in the markets. Last time we spoke, I think there was always still a bit of a question mark in terms of if the markets would continue to rally into year end. And they did. The
Yeah.
US market's up by about 16, 70%, and the US market's S&P, and then the Canadian market's up, close to 30%. So we had a real run up. So continued positive momentum. And it seems as though, I think there's really going to be a debate between the bulls and the bears, the bulls positive, bears are negative, in 2026. But because of all the geopolitical issues, right? When you think about the capturing of Maduro, Venezuelan's president, what does that mean for China looking at Taiwan, which they've wanted to control? So have we just elevated the geopolitical risk? What does that mean for the markets? Well, the markets are certainly shrugging it off, but that would be one thing from a volatility perspective to keep your eye on. And what it might also mean is you might have some better buying opportunities, right? When the market just goes straight up, you don't get a lot of buying the dip opportunity. We did have that in 2026, or sorry, 2025, but I think we might get more of that. I think though that the bull case is, we've got continued strong growth, not only in the United States, but you're seeing more fiscal stimulus from European countries. So that helps growth. You've also got the anniversary almost of tariffs in the United States. And we didn't see that really negative effect that really never came through. And you're anniversarying that. I still think there's a lot of inflation people are feeling it. I don't mean to not say that, but kind of anniversarying that increase tends to ease the impact on corporate earnings. So you don't tend to see it in the corporate earnings, right? As much as you would the first time. So I think there's actually, a number of positives. Of course, we have the Fed chair in the United States that still has to be picked. Will it be, someone who's hawkish or dovish? Will they lower rates? That's still a big unknown. But I think that there's a lot of interesting companies. I would say that you do want to be tactical this year. We can go through some of the, certain areas of the market that look more interesting. But
Mhm.
from the outset, there's going to be probably continued volatility and I think probably quite a few opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, from just a like layperson's look at things, I just see AI exploding and continue to explode. And the big companies that are heavily invested in AI, like the Google,
Hmm.
Meta, and Nvidia with the chips
Yeah.
and semiconductors and data centers, and I just see that continuing to rise.
Hmm.
But just from an outside, just from
Sure.
how I'm looking
Sure.
at
Yeah.
it. So
And then the question is, do you have enough exposure to it?
well, like we've talked this before, like if you're invested in the S&P 500, then you have a
Hmm.
lot of exposure right there.
Yep.
And then if you add on to that by buying the individual stocks, you have even more.
Hmm.
And then the question for me is like, how am I going to add on to my AI
Hmm.
exposure as
Hmm.
opposed to like back away from it? Because it's almost like I want to talk to somebody
Hmm.
that was our age in the 90s. Okay.
Okay.
We probably know some people. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because what, like, in the
How do they feel about the
how did they feel about the internet?
Okay.
What were they talking about? Were they like, "Oh my god, this is going to just end the world, this
Right.
Y2K, and are we going to have any? And what's it going to do?" Because I feel like that's how I'm feeling
Right.
about AI right now.
Are you?
Yeah, like I've gone from, wow, oh my god, this is amazing, to, oh my god, this is so takes so much energy and so much water
Mm.
and so much space for these
Hmm.
data centers,
Hmm.
to like fearful of it that way, and then scared of it just
Usurping jobs.
and humans.
Okay. Okay.
And human, the
Right.
human
The
race.
doctor of the
Yeah, it's
conversation.
making me really weird, but it's also because I've been reading a book called The Empire of AI,
Oh.
and it's all about um, open AI and really following Sam Altman.
Mm.
And I've learned so many things about that company.
Do
And
you like it or you don't like it?
well, I haven't fully finished
Okay.
it yet, but it's not a super easy page turner of a book.
Hmm.
It's a long book, it's a hardcover. It's interesting, but it takes some time to get through. So I'm
Hmm.
about three-quarters of the way through it,
Hmm.
but it's really taught me a lot of interesting things. Like I didn't realize that Anthropic came out of OpenAI. The guy that started OpenAI left when he thought that they were losing their core values at OpenAI in terms of wanting this to be actually open and helpful for the world.
Right.
And then they went off and veered off and started Anthropic. But now that Anthropic's getting huge and may actually
Go public.
IPO,
Mm. Yeah.
then you follow. Like I'm just learning a lot of interesting things,
Hmm.
and the amount of energy, like pure energy it
Hmm.
takes to power these data centers,
Hmm.
and the amount of like chips it needs,
Hmm.
and then water to
Yeah.
cool it down,
That's right.
and the way that they've been using, taking advantage of poor countries like Venezuelans. For a while, they were using them to do all their data mining, like to take things off. I have to give you the book. It's
Okay.
unbelievable. It really opened my eyes, and yeah, I'm deep in it right
Okay.
now.
Well, let me segue into a couple of things because one was the CES conference in Vegas. It's a big tech conference that just occurred about a week or so ago.
Mm.
And Jensen, who's the founder of NVIDIA, spoke. And there had been some concern that with all these other tech companies building their own chips, would that decrease? We talked about this last year at the end of the year. Would that decrease some of the demand for the NVIDIA chips? But NVIDIA is coming out with their new chip, and there are differentiations. And the view, of course, that NVIDIA is at least a decade ahead in so many of these other complex chips to power AI. I should make that clear. And he came on stage, and I think he won over the investors on Wall Street.
Yeah.
So even though that stock had been kind of stalling out a little bit, and I bought it last, I don't know, March or so, and had a great run, and then it stalls out, and you wonder. I just think that
I think it's going to keep going.
I do too. So, but that's one that hadn't had a huge run recently. That's one that you could look at. But the other thing I want to mention, you asked me to look at something, which was an ETF
Yeah.
called. Do you want to say what it is?
I don't know. You go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
It's the ETF ticker is DXYZ, and it's called Destiny Tech 100. Do you know what it is? Because I looked it up.
So my understanding of it is
Yeah.
it's a collection of tech companies that haven't gone public yet, but that are likely about to. So you can get exposure into them before they actually IPO. So like SpaceX, as an example of one that would be in there, probably
That's right.
Anthropic, probably I don't know which other ones are in there.
Well,
You tell me.
okay. So I did look at this, and it goes back to too when people like we want people to really get encouraged to invest, right? So ETFs are a very good way to do it. It's simple. It's a basket of stocks or a basket of bonds, a basket of commodities. In this case, it's a basket. This particular ETF is a basket of private companies. To your point, that most of us can't get access to unless you somehow are really in that venture capital world, high on the cap table and, have the money to actually buy it. So this is a nice way to get exposure. So the Destiny Tech 100, their mandate, and the person who developed it, I looked it up, is to democratize the access to private companies. So he created this, and he actually comes from the venture capital world. He's a young guy, and the goal is to invest in 100 companies. They've invested in about 24 so far, and they do include SpaceX. That's 23% of the fund right now. They also invested in OpenAI, 5.5% of the fund. They've invested in Stripe, which is very likely to go public this year. So, so it's interesting. I do like the fact that it gives people access to private companies. One thing to be mindful of is you want to make sure that there's enough liquidity so that if something happens, you're able to sell your shares, right? There's enough people who know about the ETF, right? The other thing is too, sometimes with private companies, you're not able to get an actual what's the true value of this company because they're not public yet. So it's an estimation from various people in the market, and that's based on rounds of funding. When you hear, oh, such and such company just raised $1 billion and it values the company at 10 billion. So there's that whole aspect in this. So you don't necessarily know if the market is
My question is
reflecting
with
it.
this basket of private companies, if they do go public, do you now still what happens?
So
Is that one out now?
So
or do you own it?
So I guess at the end of the day, it depends on what the manager of any ETF or this ETF wants to do. It depends on what the mandate is. They will decide if they will continue to hold that stripe. And say the first day of trading, it goes up 30%. They might sell some of it at 30%. They might keep some of it thinking it's going higher and higher. And that just increases the unit value of the ETF.
It's interesting.
And you could then, if you were like, I'm up, and don't forget though, Stripe is only 1.5% of the entire basket. So it's going to have less of an outsized effect on the overall value.
Have you, in your experience of investing, bought a lot of stocks on their IPO?
No.
Yeah. So I was reading something, and initially when I learned what an IPO is, I learned that it stood for initial public offering. So the price that it's initially being priced at to offer to the public to buy. But then I read something that it also can stand for, insider joke is it's probably overpriced.
Oh, okay.
So it made me think that the people that actually buy when it's IPO, often it goes up and then it tends to come down to lower than what eventually, initially, and then it'll probably go up again. So I was thinking it's a way, if you bought a stock like this, it probably will go up on the IPO. And if you're getting in earlier, it's a way that this would probably do better than buying it on the IPO. But
initial public offering is the offering of a company going public. So it doesn't actually mean necessarily the pricing, but what it's priced at is important.
Yeah.
And so to me, it's it's a big pet peeve of mine on Wall Street that deals get priced right. In other words, you want to make sure you really want to make sure that the value of the company is as accurate as you can.
Yeah.
So that, yes, the people who are early investors, they get their money. But at the same time, too, anybody who's buying on the IPO, buying shares in that company that's going to be a public company, that the value that they're buying at is reasonable so that it can also continue to go higher. To me, when a deal is priced, say it's priced at $20, that would not be this company, but if it was priced at $20 and it closes below 20, That's like breaking deal price. It's not good. It means people were, they got in early. They either got in early.
And then started dumping. So
That's
my
right.
understanding is that the inside people that actually owned this before the IPO started dumping stock. Yeah,
So sometimes with company managements, if the company, like, I don't know how much the original founders of so many companies own, there's often a lockup, so they can't dump.
right.
Right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But anybody who, when the investment banks go around and sell this to, a huge money manager, pension fund,
Mhm.
mutual fund, whatever, they might dump on the open. But the investment banks, this is my job, they try to make sure that whoever hands they're putting it in
Mhm.
want to be true owners of this.
Well, when I looked at that, the reason it was interesting to me is obviously I've been reading. They own a lot of OpenAI.
Who does?
But
Oh, this, yeah.
in this,
Okay.
and that's something that I'm just, again, I am bullish on OpenAI. A lot of
Okay.
people feel that, oh, now has Gemini and Alphabet
That's right.
taken over. I still think that like ChatGPT is like the Kleenex of tissue. Like when you talk about API, like when you talk about the way you used to say, I'm going to Google something,
Right.
people are like, I'm going to ChatGPT that,
Right.
and I use it so much and I
Mhm.
find it so unbelievable.
Mhm.
And some of the new stuff that they are doing now with OpenAI, I just
Mhm.
think it's amazing.
So have you bought this?
I haven't. I just found out about this.
How did you find? Like, I love it.
I
Like, are you
found out
looking
about
at?
all this
You
interesting
do.
stuff.
You do. It's
Because
good.
yeah, it is because I mean, obviously, I follow like mainstream media source like the Wall Street Journal and stuff, but I also follow some of these like Instagram accounts,
Yes, you do.
social media accounts that oftentimes I'll scroll past, but every now and then I see something,
Yeah.
and the same way my patients will come to me and say, "Well, what about this? I saw this,
That's right.
so about health or beauty or
Yeah.
something, so are they following all the injectors or
That's
all the
right.
different Botox patterns?
It's no
I'm
different.
following this. It's the same
Smart.
thing."
Smart. Okay, the one, and we'll get to the health thing in 1 second. The only thing is, on all ETFs,
Hmm.
you buy, you pay a commission. If you're with
Hmm.
Wealthsimple, you pay nothing. If you're with Quest Trade, I seem to be paying $9.
For every trade, you mean when you
Yeah,
buy it?
yeah, yeah. And a lot of ETFs, if they just kind of mimic the market, which we'll get to because you did choose a very good one,
Hmm.
your VCN.
Yeah, that's the
Um,
Canadian.
that's the Canadian one.
The VFB is the
US.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so if it's just mimicking the benchmark, mimicking the market, there's no manager that has to sit there and do a lot of work, right? The person who's dealing with this has to have contacts in the VC world, get
Yeah,
access. So your fee on this ETF is 2.5%.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So always look at the fees on the ETFs.
What's the fee on the ETF of the VFB or BCN? Probably
I
so
did
low,
look at it.
like you're
So
saying,
low. It's negligible.
yeah.
Wouldn't even think about it.
So you are paying a fee to this. That's
You are,
interesting.
but that,
Okay.
you know what, might be
Paid
very pay to play.
play.
Pay to play. And by the way, I do look at the venture capital market and go in personally, right?
Hmm.
And have access to some of these companies. And there's a placement fee. So there are even bigger fees.
Right. Well, when I looked at that, so you mentioned OpenAI. We talked about SpaceX,
Mhm.
which I don't know much about, but people seem to be very excited about it with their robotics and
The
the
satellites.
satellites. And is the is his Starlink under this?
Yes, yes,
Starlink.
yes.
I mean, it is
It's
pretty
incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
And then Stripe, which is incredible, which
Mhm.
I know we've talked about. So I built this website and I use Stripe. Like Stripe is the
Mm,
payment processor.
it
Like
is for you.
yeah.
Oh, I
So
didn't
it's
know that.
something that, because we've often talked about what are some things I buy? I buy things that I use.
Right.
That's the reason I first bought Shopify because
That's
I
right.
was using it, you know?
And for anybody, to kind of almost term how you invest, you're very Peter Lynch, and Peter Lynch goes back, I think it was the 80s. He really put Fidelity on the map with the Magellan Fund that he built. And that is how he kind of looked at investing. What do I use? Does it make sense?
Hmm.
Then you do all the fundamental analysis. And Shark, you and I have talked about so many times, and
We
you love Shark.
to talk about this new Shark
Okay.
product. Okay. So as you know, we've talked about Shark Ninja. It's the
Shark
same thing,
Ninja.
Shark Ninja.
Yeah.
And the reason I liked it initially is because I bought their air fryer and I was using it all the time.
Mhm.
And I think it's incredible. And it's something that I use on a regular basis. Then I bought the Ninja Creamy, which is to make healthy ice cream. And I used that, like Rebecca this morning for breakfast. You're supposed to freeze in advance to make the best ice cream. Okay, no one has time
Right.
pre-plan. But this morning, she'll just go in and she'll put in yogurt, strawberries, bananas, some milk, like healthy ingredients.
Does it freeze it in that thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And she
It's like a
makes
frozen
them,
margaritas does as well.
but it makes like an actual kind of, so she makes it initially
Okay.
and it turns into like a smoothie because she hasn't pre-froze the ingredients before she makes it. She doesn't drink the whole smoothie. So then we put the rest in the freezer. And then for about the next 3 days, I'm able to blend it and
Mhm.
into an ice cream.
Hmm.
So she has it every morning for breakfast.
Hmm.
And then lately I was at Costco and I'm there with Rebecca, of course, and she's like, Mom, we have to get this. I'm like, what is it? She's like, it's the shark air wrap. It's amazing. It's sold out everywhere. I can't believe it's even here that we're finding it at Costco. You can't get it. So it was like $350. It's like, that's expensive, like really expensive. I said to her, well, do you really want that? If
Mhm.
you really want that, then that's your birthday present because her birthday's coming up in January and all, she's like, yes, I really want it. So like also I wanted to try it. So I was like, okay, it's amazing. So if you notice how straight my hair is,
Yeah.
I have to post this. So it has different attachments. Okay. So if you've heard of the Dyson air
Yeah,
wrap
everybody
before,
loves that.
okay, this is 10 times better than Dyson.
Okay.
So it has different attachments on it. So it's basically a blow dryer
Mhm.
that works on wet hair or dry hair
Mhm.
setting. And it has an attachment for straightening. My hair, I rough dried my hair. It was a
Mhm.
disaster. Then I literally used this for 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Just boop, boop, boop,
What's
boop,
the difference
boop.
between that and a flat iron?
I find a flat iron burns the hair a little bit and it makes it too iron.
Okay, it's true.
And it takes long, a flat iron. I had to go piece by piece by piece, the flat iron to flat iron my whole hair. This took like no joke, like less than 2 minutes.
Hmm.
And then it also has the attachments that will curl it, wrap your hair.
Mhm.
Anyhow, it's a really good product. Like,
Okay.
I think it's a really good product.
Okay.
So
And
I like Shark.
yeah, but we didn't buy it
You
because
did
the
it.
valuation was very high. Doesn't mean it can't grow so if you
I
remember,
think it's a good company.
yeah, well, what we talked about was as long as and we read analyst reports on this, as long as the company continues to evolve their products,
Which they
which
have.
they're doing, and also expand internationally. I think that was another part of the story, which I'm sure they're doing. So
We'll see. I mean, it's just something that I think is this is something that's a good product that then made us then look at the stock.
that's
Doesn't
right.
just immediately buy it, but look at it and say, okay, is this something that
Yeah.
we have we have intel into
Right.
by virtue of using it,
That's right.
and seeing how many of our friends use it.
Yeah.
And after my vacation, I also want to look at whether I want to buy more Uber because I cannot tell you how much money we spent in Miami on Ubers and Uber Eats,
Okay.
like an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
Like it made me sick, to be honest, that I was like, in order to
Really?
feel psychologically better about this amount of Uber usage, I need to buy more of the stock.
Yes, you do. Wait, do you own Uber?
I do.
You do.
Yeah, I bought Uber a long time ago. But it's one of those things when I'm thinking about self-driving cars
Mhm.
and I'm thinking about how Tesla said when, initially people thought that Tesla might do a deal with Uber. And then Elon's like, why? We have enough cars. We don't need their fleet. So then I started thinking about like once self-driving does become more of a reality,
Mhm.
I would use Uber less. The reason I didn't rent a car in Miami is because where am I going to park?
Right.
And what happens if I have a drink at dinner
Mhm.
and then I don't want to have to, what am I going to do with my car?
Mhm.
But if I knew that that I had a self-driving car, I would rent a car or whatever. I would have a car. I would drive to the restaurant, send it home to a parking lot,
Right.
and then have it pick me up.
Right.
So then I wouldn't really need the Uber. So then I was like, well, I need Ubers as much when self-driving cars come around. But then I also thought Uber is a big enough company that it can buy up all these self-driving cars and just turn into the rental car that I would use to
Mhm.
use this Uber because I still need a car. So I've done all this stuff in my
Yeah.
head thinking Uber is so good. And then I started thinking as I'm using more AI, wouldn't it be good if they had like Uber agent? So right now they've got Uber grocery, Uber package. Like sometimes I'll send packages and Uber.
Right.
But Uber agent could be like, we can use ChatGPT and say, you know, give me information quickly. But then I want them to actually exercise it and do it. So I can say to ChatGPT, what's my cheapest option to fly between here and here? But what if I said, okay, now book it? So I don't have to do that work of booking it.
Mhm.
And then Uber agent would just do it for me.
Okay.
And
Well, I think that's all coming. And interestingly,
coming.
with respect to Uber, it's been up by about 30%, but it languished a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Versus a lot of the big tech companies last year. So it's trading at about 85, 87 last I looked. And the average price target from the analyst is like 107 to 110. So that's about, call it 25% upside. So there is still upside. $150 price target is one of the price targets I saw. But what's interesting is that they're continuing to see profitability increase.
Mhm.
They have made partnerships
Mhm.
with Waymo and a few others.
Oh.
Yes, apparently, according to this report I read. And,
And I'm hearing they're going to buy parking lots.
well, that I don't know, but that could
Makes
make
sense.
sense. So I think that what Uber does have, to your point earlier about, Googling or I'm chat GPTing, I'm Ubering, right? When I feel like when companies become a verb, it's
Mhm.
sometimes,
Or
good
turn
to look at. Yeah. Okay. Wait.
So I agree because no one's saying like Lyft is another one that you can use as well.
Yeah.
But like also like Lyft has like a bad connotation. Like I'm taking a Lyft. Like I already,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. That doesn't,
you
that's,
know,
yeah,
and
taking a ride.
it takes longer to get the Lyft than the Uber still.
Okay.
And
But
yeah,
I think that Uber, you're almost betting on management to figure this out.
and I think they have good management.
I would think so, given first to market and the scale that they have. They have this massive database,
Yeah.
so maybe they do more partnerships. Maybe they own the fleet. I'm not
I think
sure how it plays
I
out.
really think that in the future, 10 years from now, I think that will be how it plays out. I think I'll go on a vacation, I'll rent a car, and that car, I'll just send it home to park in parking lots and pick me up. So I don't have to pay,
Yeah,
I think, I
yeah.
think that could be how it works, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the health stuff. And in
Mhm.
particular, I asked you to take a look at if anybody's seen Bethany Frankel has this, will you describe it?
So she came back from, the first of all, she, poor her, had to go to St. Bart's,
Okay.
okay, with her daughter, and like felt a little like she wasn't at the right parties, and
She didn't,
so that.
did?
Well,
I
she
think
said,
she did.
well, she did this whole video, and sometimes I like her. I like her videos when she just keeps it real.
Okay,
But
yeah.
she was like saying how she didn't feel relaxed, that she felt like every time they went somewhere, everybody was just worried about, are they at the right place? Are they listening to the right DJ? Should they be somewhere else? It sounds like a
Too
one.
much pressure for a
It sounded
vacation.
like there was a lot of pressure, but I feel like that's pressure you put on yourself. Like I would just kind of go and just enjoy it.
Yeah, you
Like
would.
not be fussed about what.
Yeah.
All right, I'm at the party. I'm at it. The party. You should be at the party. I'm at. Okay.
Exactly. You would make the party.
Yeah.
Make
Like,
the party. Okay.
like so. Okay. Then, like the doctor in me is watching as she then says she left St. Bart's early because her and her daughter got this horrible rash on their face that was all kind of red, pustular looking bumps under the skin. It almost looked like a horrible acne breakout
Yeah.
on her skin, which she's saying was a terrible bacterial infection that she's had to use very strong antibiotics for. This is what she said.
Hmm.
So now I'm not a dermatologist, but I have seen rashes. And then she starts blaming towels,
Yeah.
sheets. Okay,
Yeah.
honest to God, can I tell you, I have stayed in okay, motels, hotels. I'm
No, you
telling you,
haven't.
like, yes, I have.
Right.
I'm not fancy. One time, I remember when there was the big blizzard snowstorm a few years ago, we were supposed to fly to Mexico and the flight got canceled.
I
And
remember
my
that.
kids were devastated. And we're like, I found a flight out of Detroit. And I was like, well, let's go. Got in the car. We drove, which we shouldn't have, through the snowstorm to Detroit. We stayed in, it was not the nicest motel hotel for the night.
Yeah.
And I didn't get any bacterial infections. Okay?
Right.
What is they dirty? Like she's sleep. You don't think they have a cleaner that goes into the house and
What do you
cleans the
think
towel?
then?
And she said she's gotten this twice now.
That's
So
true.
first of all, I wonder
That
what
is
she
true.
does to her face. Does she rub it up? I think she's allergic to the sun. I think she probably uses retinols on her face. I think some people get an acne
What about your
reaction.
daughter?
Also, probably has her genetics. They probably got a sun rash. I mean,
Can
look,
you get a sun rash like
yes,
that?
you can. I've never seen people get really bad like heat rash bumps
Yes.
all over their
Yes.
face and their skin.
Yes.
So she probably, I don't know, you're in the Caribbean, you're in the very hot sun. Maybe she has a little bit of that genetics where
Hmm.
some people have a breakout from the sun. Now, it also all okay, or it's possible that she did pick up an infection, maybe from, you can get it sometimes from the
I was
water.
going to say, but would that even be drinking the water? Or just be
No,
in the
no,
water?
no, no, not drinking
Okay.
water, in the actual
Okay.
water. But then why wouldn't she get it on her body? Was she just putting her face in the water? There's no way she's swimming underwater and ruining her
Yeah,
hair.
probably not.
Okay. So then this could be like sunscreen reaction. The bottom line is, I don't believe, if it was an infection, the most common thing is usually a staph infection that would
Oh,
cause it. But
that would be very serious, though.
no,
Wouldn't it?
staph is the bacteria that's on our skin, and we just
Oh,
treat it with like Keflex or whatever. But it's usually like a not that strong of an antibiotic.
okay.
So I'd love to know a
Mm,
dermatologist's opinion
hmm.
on what would cause that, what bacteria would cause it.
It would be good to know because obviously nobody wants that, and it's happened to her twice.
Yeah, why would it
And
happen
I did start to
twice?
think I'm going to be bringing my own pillowcases, but that's a bit
Please.
ridiculous.
Like, I don't know any, even in Mexico, we're staying in a house. They have a cleaning service that comes in and washes it. So, and also like bacteria just doesn't, like, it also doesn't live on surfaces for that long.
Could it be like mites, like bugs?
No, it can't, because you would have that on your body. Again, like what's she doing with her face? Like how does she sleep? Like what's she doing?
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it has something to do with sunscreen, the sun exposure,
Okay.
and maybe and like why didn't the other guests in her party on the yacht or anybody else in the hotel get this reaction? But I did see something.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know. We always have to check your sources, but we can look this up after, that apparently chlamydia is rampant in St. Bart's. Okay. And this came from a guy that works on a yacht, supposedly. That's some super
It sounds like
influencer.
you're watching what Down Under or what's
No, it's
the yacht
it's
show?
the same thing talking about Bethany. So that how it's so rampant and it's spreading everywhere. And it was
How does that spread?
sexually.
Okay.
Chlamydia is a sexually transmitted disease. So if everybody's sleeping with everybody in St. Bart's and not using condoms, then yes, you can have a outbreak of chlamydia. But I mean, you were in St. Bart's, like, isn't
I
it
was
just,
on a boat and didn't get off.
yeah, I would think most people, and maybe it's like young party people that are going to St.
But
Bart's that
that's
are
not,
going to the,
no
where
offense,
you're
but she's
going.
like our age or my age.
Yeah, so I don't know where she was going. Like,
Hmm.
I don't think, anyhow, we
Any,
need to figure out more about this,
okay.
skin reaction. I can say that, like, when we were in Mexico,
Yeah.
the kids, which is awful, they're obsessed with the UV, but not for the reason of how can I protect myself, but more about I need to get tan lines. They all want tan.
What?
Yes, kids.
So getting tan is back in?
Oh, it's so in for kids. Like, it's
No.
not really gone out for that generation because they don't really see the acute
Wow.
skin damage.
That's
can
so
happen later.
interesting.
Yeah, so they want to lay out, and they particularly want to get bikini tan lines and then wear tube tops and show the tan lines. That's like the in look. So, of course, my daughter's laying out there, not putting sunscreen on her chest. The next thing is she goes, Mom, I have this red bumps. It's so ugly. This bumps rash, pustular rash all over her chest. I'm like, well, that's from the sun, Rebecca. And so I put a little bit of steroid. I always pack like steroid on
Yeah, I know.
me, put a little bit on that, and I refused to let her put her chest in the sun. You put a shirt on,
Yeah.
like t-shirt, and then we put a lot of like heavy 50 sunscreen, and it went away
Hmm.
without a heavy antibiotic.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I'm sure we'll find out. Because she's going to want to find out what the heck happened.
Well, how's she going to find out? If she would have had to have them swab it, like she would have had to go to a dermatologist and have them test for what bacteria it was, or find out what, you know, I'm just saying, I think it's happened to her twice. Like, it's a little unusual, don't you think?
Twice.
It's unusual.
Same place. Yeah.
I think it's the sun.
I think this is okay. Okay. All right.
She's allergic to her sunscreen.
Yeah, probably. Or any kind of product
So
that
I have a
interacts.
patient of mine, actually, who every time she goes to I can't remember if it's the Caribbean or where she goes, she ends up getting her eyes get so swollen and she gets a complete crazy rash. So she didn't know if this is from sunscreen or if it's from fish, because she tends to, on vacation in the Caribbean, eats much more
Could
fish.
be that too.
Sent her to an allergist, not allergic to either.
Hmm.
It's the sun.
Okay. Okay. All right. What else is on your docket? Because we're gonna do a quick wrap.
Yeah. So, okay. Oh my gosh, I had a few different things. Let me look. So first of all, let's just do things related to GLPs. Okay. Here are all the stories I saw about GLP-1s. So first of all, the FDA approved the oral semaglutide.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the oral Ozempic, oral Wegovy.
Okay.
So that's now been approved. And we have that already in Canada, but it's known as Ribelsis and it's
Okay.
for diabetes.
Okay.
The difference is this one they've now approved for weight loss, this oral medication, and it's made by Novo Nordisk, which actually gave a bump to that stock
Yeah, I saw
for a little
that.
bit. The dose is 25 milligrams. Just to put that in perspective, when I start a patient on that pill in Canada for diabetes, we start them at 3 milligrams.
Wow.
So it's a much higher dose of this oral pill because, as we now know, Ozempic, uh, semaglutide, which
Yeah.
is the molecule in it, is a peptide. And peptides, we tend to often have to always inject them because they break down in our digestive system. That's why insulin's still an injection, right? That's why
Okay.
these drugs were initially injections. Well, this is oral. So maybe that's why you need such a high dose.
Oh,
But anyhow, so that will be interesting to
okay.
see what happens with that. There was also a study showing that they looked at people that have ever been on a GLP-1 agonist drug. It didn't matter which one,
Okay.
whether it was Ozempic or Mounjaro or what it was. And they looked at rates of colorectal cancer for people that were on that compared to people that were taking baby aspirin for colorectal cancer prevention, because that's the thing that's been studied most and has showed some benefit for reducing risk. And the people on a GLP-1 had much lower rates of colorectal cancer than people that were all taking baby aspirin with much less side effects and risks. So the safety profile was better because people on aspirin, you always have the risk of bleeding.
Right.
Which, so that was one thing, which is really interesting. So this could lead to, prevention. So gastroenterologists saying if you want to reduce your risk of colon cancer, if you have a family history of colon cancer, even if you're not obese or overweight, they might want to consider taking a GLP-1 drug. So that was another thing I thought was interesting. Then I saw the term starting to go around Ozempic vagina. Did you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, what is Ozempic vagina? Apparently, Ozempic vagina refers to the fact that people that have lost a lot of weight on these drugs notice that their vulva, the exterior, like the external,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
genitals down there, start looking saggy and wrinkly
Wow.
because they're losing the fat pads in their labia majora. So the labia majora, aka the outer lips,
Is that called a lady majora?
labia.
Oh, I think you said lady.
Lady majora. So
Lady majora.
Lady Gaga.
Lady.
So anyhow, so the women are going and they're getting increased procedures, getting filler put in the labia to puff them out.
I don't know.
That is one thing I saw. And then what else? So I think that covered what I saw. And then I thought you may be interested in this.
Hopefully not lady.
Not labia. No, that's why
Definitely not.
So, but you get motion sickness quite bad.
Oh, yeah. Well, on a boat, not in a
Okay.
plane.
So interesting. Okay, so on a boat, and I don't have that problem, but I get motion sickness in the car. I can't read or do work in the car because it just makes me feel like nauseous, like I'm going to throw up and I have to lie down. And the reason motion sickness happens is because we get different sensory inputs. So our eyes are looking at one thing that's still, but our body is feeling motion. So the brain gets confused and releases something called substance P, which then works on our system to create this motion sickness. So FDA approved the first new drug for motion sickness in 40 years. Yeah. So I'll tell you what it's called exactly.
Well, I wonder because the one that I do take for when we go on a boat, like even a big boat, it makes me really sleepy.
That's the problem. So the only thing that really is right now is people can take anti-muscarinic drugs or anti-nausea drugs like Gravol or Benadryl, but they just make you knocked out.
So knocked out.
Like that happened to me one time. I was so lucky. We were where were we? We were like somewhere fancy, like in Greece. That's right. So we rented chartered a boat for the day. And they're like, if anybody gets a little motion sickness, you can take this pill. And I'm like, well, it make me drowsy, but I don't think they understood fully
the medical side.
Like, oh no, you'll be fine. I slept the whole boat ride. Adam's like, it was beautiful. We went to this beach and that beach. I just slept.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's obviously not good.
No.
The
Do you think
last,
this one will make you sleepy?
no. So here's what it says.
And
So,
well, I have to get it in the States then.
yes. So it said the FDA approved
Mm-hmm.
tradipitant, which
Hmm.
will be known by the name Nereus or
Uh-huh.
Nereus.
Okay.
It's an oral
Mhm.
neurokinin 1 NK1 receptor antagonist to prevent vomiting and nausea induced by motion in adults.
Okay.
The approval marks the first new drug treatment for motion sickness in over 4 decades and signifies an advancement in understanding the mechanism
I'm so
behind motion
glad.
sickness.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad. We need to wrap it, but we'll have to do some more digging into that. And I wonder which
Mhm.
company is behind it. But I always attribute my motion sickness to the
Mhm.
fact that I was a figure skater and I spun all the time. Right.
That
Like
should make you more used to. Oh,
no,
you think you distinct to your sensory?
I think that I think that it did something. And I'm so, when you have to spin that fast and you were a gymnast, I think it's
Yeah.
interesting that you get it too. Because a lot of people don't get motion
They say
sickness.
1 in 3 people gets motion sickness, but not
Okay,
severe.
forget that.
1 in 3
Mine's severe.
you have severe.
I think it's
severe. Well, some people have the people that have it really severe, the people that actually can't go on an airplane or on
Oh,
like
okay.
that's severe, but you have it definitely more than I
I
do.
have
Like
to
you
take
have definitely have moderate. I have very,
Yeah.
very mild.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got to wrap it there. First show and so much more to come. A lot more stocks and
Oh,
markets.
can I play our song?
Okay.
Can I just go out with this? Oh no,
Sure.
I'll play.
Okay. Okay.
I'll
Okay.
play
We'll
for next time.
add it in. We'll add it in.